Tonight on KGW News, a daytime shooting on a busy downtown Portland block.
We went to go see really quick what it was, but then we saw people running, so we hid.
Plus, miles of support for 2 Idaho firefighters killed in an ambush.
I think that the presence, it can be healing for the families.
Then, new at 11, a judge orders the immediate release of an asylum seeker picked up by ICE outside a Portland courtroom.
I think that the judge's decision today sends a clear message that the government cannot unlawfully detain individuals.
And later, why you might say the Timbers are about to get more room to run. Good evening. We begin at 11 with 1 man dead after an afternoon shooting in downtown Portland. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Police say they arrested the suspect blocks away and just minutes later. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom after talking with officers and witnesses. Alma?
Yeah, David, at this time, we still don't know the name of the suspect in the shooting, which happened not only in the middle of the day, but in the middle of downtown.
Where's the ambulance?
At the corner of Southwest Yamhill and 10th Avenue, across from the Central Library.
Yeah, he just got shot.
Bystanders surround a man seriously injured after a shooting on the sidewalk.
Stay with me. I can do this, okay? Yeah. I know it hurts.
We deal with like a lot of narcotics use and things like that. We are pretty used to that, but never anything this violent.
As we got near, they were like 9 people trying to assist 7 to 9 people.
But their efforts, followed by those of paramedics and other first responders, could not save the victim.
Medics were on scene pretty quickly and transported that individual to the hospital where he was pronounced deceased.
I don't know what happened, really. I really don't know what happened, but we did see him, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
The fact that it only happened 2 hours ago and he already died, that's so heartbreaking.
Within minutes of the shooting, PPB says officers tracked down the suspect through witness statements and camera footage, then took him into custody after chasing him down a couple of blocks from the scene.
I love to see the city and the vibrancy of it, but I'm saddened and angry. Once again, a conversation about the loss of life. We talk about the sanctity of life and the significance of it.
This death marking the 18th homicide of the year. At this time last year, investigators say that number was 35.
We're making a number of arrests, clearing a number of cases, and our focused intervention team and our effort around gun violence, we're still very much resolved to keeping those numbers low.
And at this time, we do not know the identity of the victim. Police did emphasize, even though homicide numbers are down, 1 loss of life is 1 too many. David?
Thanks, Alma. Appreciate your reporting tonight. All right, we may see a step toward what some might call justice in a case that has haunted the Northwest for several years now, with Brian Koberger, the man accused of killing 4 Idaho college students, set to plead guilty. Koberger's hearing in Boise is scheduled for 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. And sources close to the case say while the plea deal avoids the death penalty, it means Koberger will spend the rest of his life in prison and give up his right to appeal. At least some of the victims' families are expected to be in court. Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were all killed in the 2022 attack. Word of the deal comes after a judge denied several motions by Koberger's defense team to get some of the evidence tossed from the trial. Jessica Janner Castro catches us up on the state's case.
This first piece of substantial evidence laid out in the case is the knife sheath found next to one of the victims at the crime scene. Investigators say there was DNA found on it that was linked to Brian Koberger through genetic genealogy. After he was on their radar, police learned Koberger drove a white Hyundai Elantra, a vehicle of interest in the case. The car was seen circling the neighborhood before the murders and was caught on camera speeding away from the area after the students were killed. Another piece of key evidence has to do with Koberger's phone records. At the time of the murders, he was living in Pullman and was a criminology student at Washington State University. The campus is about 15 minutes from where the students were found dead in Moscow. Investigators say cell phone data shows at 2:47 a.m. the morning of the murders, Koberger left his home and drove south through Pullman before his phone was turned off. The phone was turned back on at 4:48 a.m., about 30 minutes after the 4 students were believed to have been killed. Prosecutors also presented Koberger's search history as part of evidence. Court documents show he bought a knife and knife sheath on Amazon months before the killings. Records obtained by Dateline show he went back to Amazon after the murders to shop for a knife. He even clicked Buy Now and began the checkout process before exiting.
Jessica Jenner Castro there. Tomorrow morning at 10, we'll be streaming live coverage from Brian Koberger's expected plea hearing. Our team will hear from people in the courtroom and hopefully hear from family members immediately after. That's only on our free TV app, KGW Plus. You can download that anytime on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. New at 11, an asylum seeker picked up by ICE outside a Portland courtroom is now set to be released. That's after a federal judge ruled this afternoon the government had no legal basis for detaining him. The 24-year-old from Mexico who'd been living in Newport was arrested June 5th after showing up for an immigration hearing in downtown Portland. His attorneys say he had no criminal history and had been following every requirement since applying for asylum protection in the U.S. Turns out he was even issued work authorization the day before he was detained.
Individuals seeking safety in this country are allowed to lawfully do that, and they are going through a process and being detained in this case, even despite following every single rule. It's really important that we understand the humanity behind these sweeping statistics and understand how it is the government, not these individuals, who is taking unlawful action here.
Well, attorneys, as you heard, hope this case will send a clear message. It is not clear if he's been released yet from the ICE facility in Tacoma. This, by the way, is one of at least 5 asylum seekers arrested outside court in downtown Portland. In another case, witnesses recorded ICE agents pulling over a man and his mother after their immigration hearing. The Innovation Law Lab says it's seen cases in 19 states where the government requests an immigration case be dismissed. Then as soon as the person leaves court, they're arrested. We're following up on the status of those other local cases. Now, meanwhile, both Oregon and Washington have joined a multi-state lawsuit over health information that was shared with ICE. States routinely share some personal data, as you might imagine, with the federal government as part of their Medicaid programs. But this lawsuit alleges federal health officials shared it with Homeland Security for the purpose of, yes, immigration enforcement. It calls this an illegal breach of privacy by the Trump administration. We'll take a live look over downtown Portland tonight with temperatures dropping after yet another warm day. Matt Safino here with a first look at your weather impact forecast. Hey there, Matt.
Hey, David. Yeah, we did not hit 90 in Portland today, but just barely. It was 89 here. Vancouver hit 90, 91 in Scappoose, 94 in McMinnville. Remember, yesterday McMinnville was 97. So a little bit of cooling helps. We have a lot more cooling on the way tomorrow. Eastern Oregon near 100 in Pendleton, 100 down in Malheur County, and 99 in Medford before the clouds came in yet again with thunderstorms across part of the state. In Portland right now, it is clear generally. See the moon out there. It's full next week. Have been some high clouds, though. Those have been debris clouds from the thunderstorms east of the Cascades. We're sitting at the moment at 69 degrees, which is a lot cooler than it was at this time last night. Portland is running 6 degrees cooler, but it's 8 cooler Kelso and Scappoose, 7 cooler in McMinnville. So again, you get the idea. Temperatures are really beginning to take a tumble tonight compared to the last couple of nights. Now, lightning, we had a whole mess of it east of the Cascades and to the southeast of Mount Hood. I'll show you a great time lapse of that later on, but right now it's all kind of diminishing, turning into just scattered showers. However, we have fire weather warnings out for tomorrow for parts of Oregon as the winds will pick up and there will be some thunderstorms in far eastern Oregon. But for us, cooler through the holiday weekend. Some days might not even hit 80. Morning lows nice and comfortable. Thunderstorms, as I mentioned, far eastern Oregon tomorrow. 90s, though, we'll be back next week. More on all this, David, in a bit. Back to you.
Hey, a little relief, at least for now. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a jury is now deliberating in the sexual assault trial of former Portland Trailblazer Ben McLemore. A warning, the details in this case are disturbing. The centers around a 2021 house party in Lake Oswego. The prosecution says the woman was incapacitated after a night of heavy drinking and was raped. The defense says Macklemore had also been drinking and the sex was consensual.
There's absolutely no confusion in this case. When you look at all the surrounding circumstances and you assess the evidence in this case, I submit to you that the defendant is guilty.
The only reasonable verdict in a case where two people get drunk and have sex, and the man is drunker than the woman, the only reasonable verdict in a case like that is not guilty.
Deliberations are set to resume tomorrow. We will let you know as soon as there is a verdict. In Clark County, the medical examiner is trying to figure out how a man died after his body was found along I-205 in Vancouver. A transportation worker discovered the body in the median this afternoon near 50th Avenue. It is not clear how long he had been on the road. And firefighters say kids playing with fireworks started a fire in Portland's Hazelwood neighborhood today. The flames jumped to a house, then a school playground. Fire officials hope this serves as a warning to people to be extra careful with fireworks, with today the first official day of wildfire season.
Fire will be pushed by wind right up. A fire starts on the side of a parking lot. Oh, it's safe, no problem. Small fire in grass, into vegetation, into a structure.
There you go. In Washington County, there was another fire today that may be connected to a burn pile that was left smoldering. Officials are reminding folks to check on burn bans in their area. Now, a giant flag there and hundreds of people lining the streets this morning to pay tribute to the 2 firefighters killed in an ambush. It was part of a procession from Spokane to Coeur d'Alene to bring their remains home. And along the way, first responders and civilians stood in salute, waved flags, and shared sentiments like this.
There is a lot of support out there, and I just hope that people don't forget that this happened today, that we remember the firefighters today who lost their lives, and that we always remember not to let hate control us and not to let these things continue to happen, because this is truly a travesty.
So well said. Battalion Chiefs John Morrison and Frank Harwood were killed when authorities say a man started a brush fire, then opened fire at the crew. When they showed up to put it out, a third firefighter remains in the hospital. The gunman here died by suicide. So far, authorities have not released a motive. If you'd like to help the families of those fallen firefighters, officials are encouraging you to visit the official International Association of Firefighters website. The organization has included verified charity fund links leading to donation sites.